Campbell was one of the biggest surprises of last year. He might not be the most athletic, but he's pretty athletic and a really smart player and fit that defense perfectly. So for the Packers to bring him back, I really like this signing. Let's start off with a play like this. What we're going to see here is this is going to be a good example of what he can do in the running game. And I think that really when you watch his tape, one of the big things that jumps out is the fact that he's a smart player and he puts himself in position to succeed. I'm not sure why that really jumped out on tape so much more this year than it did in years past. Maybe it's just right coaching. I don't know. Getting him in better position. I really don't know. But it definitely was a real thing that you saw on tape this past year. And this is an example where you see where Campbell is on the field. I've circled him in yellow right there. Right when this play begins, you see how the rush is going towards the right side of the screen, which is towards the defense's right, offense's left. And you see that if Campbell continues to run towards that side of the field, there's going to be a blocker who can run over and make the block on Campbell, which can allow for this run to work. Now, it's getting pretty well defended by Green Bay on that side of the field anyways, but still, for Campbell, what he's doing is he reads this play almost the same way a running back would, where if you're a running back, you're going to look at this right now and say, hey, there's that hole right up the middle, let's run there, there's no one in the way. But Campbell also reads this. So I think a lesser linebacker would continue running towards the right, but he is not a lesser linebacker. Watch him be able to fill up that gap, and he's going to run over and make the play. So that's just making the correct read. This isn't anything crazy. This isn't anything like, that you don't expect a good linebacker to make, but still, this is the stuff that he made consistently. He was rarely out of position, and he was constantly making the correct play, and that's kind of why he was so effective last year for Green Bay. We also have something like this where it's going to be a cover 3 zone, and what you see on the screen is the white zone is where Campbell is covering. I've circled Campbell in yellow, so it's zone coverage, but the play call itself is kind of less relevant here to what's actually going to happen. Look at how right when this play begins, it's just going to be a quick screen pass. So for Campbell, there's actually 2 players who could run up and block him. Now, the receiver there is not going to block Campbell. It's going to be the offensive lineman who goes over to block him. But it's kind of, for Campbell, he doesn't know exactly who is going to be blocking him. So typically what happens here? Typically you get blocked out of the way and you hope someone else makes the play. But as you see, look at him be able to get around that block, and he's going to help make the tackle. And that's definitive value you're adding to your football team, is being able to, the way that play was set up was meaning that it was going to go for more yards, and he causes that to not go as far. It's kind of similar to how if a receiver makes a move and gets 10 yards instead of 5 yards, well, that's basically the linebacker equivalent of that. Instead of gaining your team 5 yards, you're preventing the other team from doing so. But again, it's this, a similar value there. It obviously can also come into effect in the running game. This is an example of that, where you have the right guard who's going to run up and block Campbell right here, and watch what's going to happen. So right when this play begins, you do see that there's a position where Campbell can get blocked out of the way. Again, this is going to be a run to the left side of the screen, which is, towards the offense's right, of course. And so that's why you see that the right guard for Cincinnati made sure that he gets in position where he can try to block Campbell to the right side of the screen. That's what he wants to do right here. So this makes sense. So for Campbell, what do? Well, you could overpower him, but that's not really what Campbell does. It's not really his game. It's more about just understanding leverage and reading the plays and putting himself in position to succeed. He sees what's going to happen. And so while, yes, the offensive lineman is in position to where he could block Campbell out of the way, what Campbell can do is just put him in a different spot so that way the leverage changes. Watch Campbell step in, which completely screws up the block, and then Campbell's able to run over and make the tackle. So again, just doing that, just reading the play and being able to make moves. He's not the shiftiest and he's not the strongest. He's not the most athletic, but he's pretty good at all that stuff. And what he really does is he just puts himself in position to succeed. He puts himself in the right spot. That's what he can do, and what he really did very well in Green Bay. One more final play I want to talk about is this one. So it's going to be a cover 1 blitz right here. He's going to be covering the tight end who's going to be running out to the flat. And look at how right when this play begins, you're going to see how this does work. You see how it's working out, right? For the 49ers, if you want to make this throw, you're probably going to gain a few yards. At least that's how you would probably think about it. But the thing is that, you know, just because there's separation right now doesn't mean that it's still there. And I think for Campbell, he's kind of having the mindset of, listen, if Garoppolo throws a bullet pass right now and they get the completion, I can run up and make a tackle, and you only gain a couple yards anyways. I don't want to get burned deeper than that. Instead, Garoppolo doesn't exactly throw a laser, but Campbell's able to run over and not just give up the completion, but knock it away. And so that's a really good play by Campbell of just kind of, again, understanding your situation, knowing where you should be, and then the second something happens, making a break and making the correct reads. So that's just kind of what he does. And it's possible, I think, watching tape, you could say, I don't know about his athleticism. I don't know if he is one of these elite athlete linebackers. But you know what? A lot of the elite athlete linebackers don't always totally work at the linebacker position because it is such a mental position. So getting a smart guy there, you could argue about his ceiling if you want, but he has a high floor. And I think worst case scenario, you got a solid linebacker. That's just what I see from watching tape. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of just how I feel about it in a lot of ways. I think that he's good. And like, I think you could make the argument of like, well, is he just a system fit? Is it just because of the scheme? Which the reason why that would be concerning, even with a re-sign, is the idea of could you get someone cheaper? Because, you know, $5 million, blah, blah, blah. Because, you know, 5 years for $50 million, so $10 million a year for all you math fans out there. That's definitely a bit of a steep price, to say the least. There's no denying that. For a linebacker, you know, typically like the max you'll see usually a linebacker get is around $15 million. So it's not like you're breaking the bank or anything, but you're paying decent money and locking them up for a decent amount of time. Although, again, how much of that is guaranteed always comes into play there. But I think really what they feel like is we trust this guy to run our defense well. We trust him to do what he can do. He was very good last year in that scheme, so let's keep him, and we'll expect that he'll be very good in the scheme this year as well. He was definitely someone who I thought could be a casualty. We already saw Zadarius Smith get cut, so I thought for sure real possibility that he goes as well. But it's good to see him back because he was a lot of fun to watch last year, so he'll be a lot of fun to watch. Again, we would assume. So yeah, definitely an interesting move. Some people are going to say, wait, how does the cap work? I thought you had no money. Again, you can continuously push the cap down the road as long as you want to. You're never in a position where you can't sign anybody due to the salary cap. Now, some owners might not want to pay certain amounts, but hey, Packers don't have an owner, so that makes it a lot easier. Again, I don't really know exactly how that works with the Packers, how much money they can spend, but clearly they can keep spending. So there you go. And yeah, again, kind of just a cool story for Devondre Campbell, kind of as a whole. Like, I think that it's just kind of a cool story that he is someone who just sort of really out of nowhere just kept trying to see if he could get a fit, finally got an opportunity to get some playing time, get a start, and made the most of it, and now he's getting paid because of it. So yeah, cool stuff. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.